Hey everybody, welcome back to the LuckyDog podcast. Today we are discussing the 92nd Academy Awards, the Oscars. They're coming up tonight, and I wanted to do a quick prediction podcast. I said tab. I don't know what I'm talking about, but just doing quick predictions on what movies I think are going to probably sweep away, get some of the highest recognition, and the ones that I think should versus the ones that actually might. So let's talk about them. Best Picture. We have Ford v. Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. I think out of all of them, I've seen all except for Little Women, and I've only seen half of Ford v. Ferrari. Have not got to finish it. But based on all of those, I think Bong-Joon-ho's Parasite deserves the win. I'm hoping that Joker does not get this. I really believe that Parasite and 1917 are probably some of the best directed, and then Marriage Story, I guess. I would really hope one of those would win. Parasite, I feel like, deserves it just because of the story and direction it tells. 1917 is much more of a technical feature, but Joker, I just did not think it was much more style over substance for me personally. So, Best Director, we have Martin Scorsese, for The Irishman, Todd Phillips for The Joker, Sam Mendes, 1917, Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time, Bong Joon-ho, Parasite. Okay, so I wonder if I got that correct when I mean that. Let me switch that actually. I'm going to say Best Picture goes to 1917, and then Best Director goes to Bong Joon-ho's for Parasite. That's what I would really like. Although I could see it going the other way around. Martin Scorsese did an amazing job with The Irishman, but overall I feel like the story did not lend itself to showing Best Director. Best Actor, Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time, Adam Driver in Marriage Story, Joaquin Phoenix in Joker, Jonathan Pryce in The Two Popes. I have not seen The Two Popes, and I have not seen Pain and Glory, so I've heard both really good things about those two. Leo is one of my favorite actors, but I don't believe he's going to win this one. Adam Driver did an amazing job, but Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker, he became the Joker physically, mentally. He nailed all cylinders of the Joker for me personally, in that interpretation of it. And I think that Joaquin Phoenix probably deserves it as a Joker. Best Actress, Cynthia Erivo in Harriet, Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan and Little Women, Charlize Theron in Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger in Judy. So the two standout performances I've heard were the Scarlett Johansson at Little Women, Saoirse Ronan and Renee Zellweger performances in Marriage Story, Little Women, and Judy. What I hear is Renee Zellweger probably deserves it in Judy, but no one saw it, so she probably won't get it. So I'm going to say it's a toss-up between Scarlett Johansson's Marriage Story or Saoirse Ronan's Little Women. I'm going to go with... I haven't seen The Little Women, but I've heard really good things, so I'm going to go with Saoirse Ronan. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, so I'm sorry about that, but I think Miss Ronan deserves it, even though I have not seen the movie. Best Supporting Actor, Tom Hanks in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood as Fred Rogers, Anthony Hopkins in The Two Popes as Pope Benedict, Al Pacino in The Irishman, Joe Pesci in The Irishman, Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Best Supporting Actor, I think, probably deserves to go to Joe Pesci's subtle performance in The Irishman, although I have not seen The Two Popes or Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. And I hear that Tom Hanks brings a very Tom Hanksy performance as usual. But he's still great nonetheless. Al Pacino was good in The Irishman, but Joe Pesci's performance really stood out for me as an understated performance that really spoke a lot and showed just the power he had. Brad Pitt was amazing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I didn't think that it showed a range in a way that I thought was deserving of an Academy Award. Best Supporting Actress, Kathy Bates and Richard Jewell, Lauren Dern, Marriage Story, Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit, Florence Pugh and Little Women, Margot Robbie and Bombshell. I have not seen the latter two or the first one, Richard Jewell. I heard Kathy Bates is amazing in it, so I'm gonna say Scarlett Johansson was also really good in Jojo Rabbit. And Florence Pugh, I know she can act like hell. I'm going to say Kathy Bates, though. I think Kathy Bates is probably deserving of a supporting actress. I actually don't know if she's already won one or not. She is a recipient of including an Academy Award, 2 Emmys, and 2 Golden Globes. So she has one under her belt already. So yeah, I think she probably deserves it. She's normally one of the best actors in whatever she's in. Best Original Screenplay. Knives Out by Rian Johnson, Marriage Story, Noah Baumbach, 1917 by Sam Mendes. Well, 1917 was based off of his grandfather's stories. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Quentin Tarantino, Parasite, Bong-Joon-ho, and Han Jin-won. I'm going to say... based on previous... Let me see. It's possible I can pull up who's previously won without going too far. Previous... Okay, so who's won previously was... Green Book won last year. And Get Out won the year before. And then Manchester by the Sea in 2016. So, based on those, based on, I guess, original, I want to say Rian Johnson. I want to give him this one, but, not many people saw it, so I'm not sure if that's going to be affected or not. Best Adapted Screenplay. Oh, I just want to say on the other ones, Parasite, I don't know how to... I feel like Parasite is such a technical feature. I don't know if original screenplay is the one that I would give it. Once Upon a Time, really interesting story, but I don't think it's the best. 1917, it's very simple when it comes down to the story and screenplay, but it's the technical feature that is mind-blowing. Marriage Story, I would say, might be the one to beat it. I think Marriage Story has an amazing screenplay. Best Adapted Screenplay, The Irishman, based on Heard You Paint Houses, by Charles Brandt. Jojo Rabbit was adapted by Taika Waititi, based on the novel Caging Skies by Kristen Lewins. Joker, Todd Phillips and Scott Silver, based on characters created by Bill Finger, Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson. Little Women, adapted by Greta Gerwig, based on the novel by Louise Mary Alcott. The Two Popes, Anthony Carton, based on his play The Pope. So I have not seen the latter two, so I'm going to say Best Adapted Screenplay. I want to say is Jojo Rabbit, because I've heard that Caging Skies, the book, was somewhat bleak, and what Taika Waititi was able to do and bring with the new ideas on his movie were really to enlighten it. And I love Jojo Rabbit. So I'm hoping that he gets Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Animated Feature Film, How to Train Your Dragon 3, I Lost My Body, Klaus, Missing Link, Toy Story 4. I was not blown away by Toy Story 4, so I'm not rooting for it at this point. Did not see Missing Link. I really enjoyed Klaus for the visual style it was. I thought the writing and stuff was quite mature and adult. I did not get to see I Lost My Body. I think it's the one about the hand that goes missing or whatever and goes on its own adventure. And I did not see How to Train Your Dragon 3, although I've heard really good things about it and I have seen the first one. So I'm gonna root for Klaus. Although I've heard, Missing Link was actually not too bad. Best International Feature Film: Copious Christi, a Polish film directed by Jan Komasa. Honeyland in North Macedonia, in North Turkish Macedonia, directed by Tamara Kotsavatska. And Luzimir Stefanov. I'm sorry, I got all that fucked up. Les Miserables in French, directed by Ladies Lie. Pain and Glory, Spanish, directed by Pedro Almodovar. Parasite in Korean, South Korean, directed by Bong-Joon-ho. Parasite all day, every day. That was one of the most mind-bending, blowing movies I've ever seen in my life, and you got to see it if you haven't seen it yet, so go check it out. Plus, I haven't seen the other ones. I wanted to watch Honeyland, but I didn't get a chance. Honeyland is one I want to check out. I think it's about, like, raising bees or something like that. Best Documentary Feature: American Factory, The Cave, The Edge of Democracy, For Sama, Honeyland. Since I didn't see any of them, I'm going to say Honeyland. Best Documentary Short: I have no idea which any of them are, so I'm just going to go with Walk, Run, Cha-Cha. Let me see. Best Live Action Short Film: Brotherhood, Nefta Football Club, The Neighbor's Widow, Sarah, a Sister. I didn't see any of these, so I'm just going to go with The Neighbors. The Animated Short Film: The Sarah, Hair Love, Kit Bull, Memorable Sister. Didn't see any of these once again, so I'm just going to go with Memorable. Best Original Score: Joker by Hilder Guanatier. Little Women, Alexandre Desplat. Marriage Story, Randy Newman. 1917, Thomas Newman. Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, John Williams. I was really blown away by the score for 1917 and Joker as well. I have not seen Little Women, so I'm going to go with 1917 because it just puts you in a place, and it's unlike any other score I've really heard in a while. Best Original Song: I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story. Love Me Again from Rocketman. I'm Standing With You from The Breakthrough. Into the Unknown, Frozen 2. Stand Up from Harriet, by Cynthia Erivo. I'm going to say I really enjoyed Love Me Again on Rocketman. That's who I'm going to pick for that. Best Sound Editing: Ford v Ferrari, Joker 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. I was not impressed by the last two in regards to sound mixing at all, so I'm gonna say 1917 or Ford v Ferrari. Let's go with Ford v Ferrari because I think they're gonna win at least one. Although I do think the sound mix for 1917 was quite impressive, and Joker relied more heavily on sound and soundtrack than sound editing, in my opinion. Best Sound Mixing: Ad Astra, Ford v Ferrari, Joker 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Why is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood under sound mixing? I don't feel like that was anything special. I want to say 1917 in my opinion, because 1917 had a great sound mix with regards of putting you in the atmosphere. Best Production Design: The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite. I want to say Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might win something, so let's go ahead and put it under Production Design, although I think all of these did a really good job when it came to production design. Best Cinematography: The Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I want to say Roger Deakins probably has this tied up for 1917. He's a favorite of the Academy Awards. I don't know if I have how many he's won. Academy Award for Best Cinematography. Oh yeah, he's won cinematography for Blade Runner before. And he's won the BAFTA for The Man Who Wasn't There, No Country for Old Men, True Grit, Blade Runner 1949, and already 1917 as well. So, yeah, he's probably up for cinematography. Let me see how many we got left. Okay, so only a few more. Best makeup and hairstyling: Bombshell, Joker, Judy, Maleficent, 1917. Honestly, 1917 really blew me away with the hair and makeup, just how they were able to consistently have it as, continue to go with these steady long shots. I'm going to say that it probably might go to Bombshell because I thought these people turned into the actual people. I was like, holy shit, how'd they get these, real life people in there? It's just makeup. Best costume design: The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is a hard one for me, but I don't think it's The Irishman or Jojo Rabbit. Little Women might take it away, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was really impressive to me. So maybe just because it's a film about films, or in the process of it. So I think that might have the edge. Best film editing: Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Parasite. Parasite feels like it deserves it for me. Could go anyway. Best visual effects: Endgame, Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, 1917, Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker. Honestly, best visual effects, I feel like Avengers probably deserve it, but I wouldn't be surprised if The Lion King swept it away because they did a pretty impressive job with bringing that to life, even though it doesn't, in my opinion, serve the same effect as the original Lion King. It looks like you're looking at real lions, for better or for worse, but either way, it could be considered a technical achievement. So those are my predictions. I know this is a little bit late. You might be hearing this after you watch the Oscars, but stay tuned for more Lucky Dog podcast goodness coming down the tube. We have The Outsider we're covering on HBO. It's a really interesting Stephen King take on what's it, like a true crime procedural on HBO, and we're covering it right now. We're about 4 or 5 episodes in. So check that out. We've covered Inception. We just recently covered, not too long ago, Marriage Story. We covered all of the Oscar favorites: Jojo Rabbit, Parasite. I'm going to have to finish 4 v Ferrari before I complete that, but that's going to be coming down the tube. Tons of, podcasts coming down. If you like what you're hearing, please support us at paypal.me/theluckydogpodcast. Check out all the other podcasts, comments, questions, concerns. Email the Lucky Dog Podcast, Twitter, at Lucky Dog Podcast, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram. Links are all down below, as well as the Discord if you want to join the chat and just hang out and talk to everybody. I'll answer some questions if you want to. So thank you for listening, watching Lucky Dog Podcast. We could not do without you. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of the show, of the podcast. If you listen to another podcast, then which is what I'm hoping, you'll click the next podcast and you'll have a fresh new podcast. All right, y'all. Take it easy.